Hey, my name is Collin Cadet. I'm creatively known as BLiNK, and I'm here to talk a little bit about my musical journey and what I'd like to offer to the Sanctuaries program. 2 years ago, I did a little bit of a diss track back in my high school. I'm from a suburban community, so we're known for these corny type things, but we had a school diss track between our dueling football teams. Late at night, my friend reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want you to do this diss track." At this point, I'm a freestyler. I'm not really an established MC. I didn't really put out music, but I was known for freestyling. Decided I wanted to challenge myself to do it, and we came out with this record. It made quite the impact on my community. And fast forward to January of 2017, I was asked to come out for a school pageant, Mr. CHS. It was expected that I was going to perform this said diss track, but this was around the time Trump had just gotten elected, and in my mind, I realized I wanted to flip the script a little bit. I sat down and I wrote this verse, and it wasn't the song yet, but it would ultimately be the verse that would inform my record, Woke. For the first half of my performance during this Mr. CHS pageant, I performed the Chattahoochee, which is my school, the Chattahoochee High School diss track record. But in the middle of the performance, we cut it down the middle and lights go off. Had some friends playing drums and another friend on saxophone, and my verse began. I started rapping. We live in division. It shouldn't matter if you were Christian. Don't you dare go and tell yourself this isn't your business. I live as a witness, and lately I've been having this itching to do a thing that will probably get some of y'all offended. After I completed my verse, I realized the impact that it had made. As somebody who already did the Black Lives Matter club at my, southern community, this is a predominantly white, southern, and somewhat affluent community, Black Lives Matter club was something that was quite bold. And while I had some successes, a lot of times when you go into conversations, people shut down. It was different with this performance. After my verse, people were really receiving what I was saying, and whether or not they agreed with it, I could tell that it resonated. I went on to create my record Woke as a song. I got some of the best producers I knew in my local community. And I also got my school choir to sing along with it, as well as some members of the band and some consultants from Orchestra for Strings. Eventually, I started working with music management, which was helpful in terms of the resources that I gained and the things I learned about the industry. But my music management aspect of my musical journey was probably one of the most corrosive. I got screwed over. However, I learned a tremendous amount about myself and what I wanted out of my music. It started with the service, it started with me speaking to my community, and I want to end it with that. Through my term working with my manager, I had certain resources. One of them was the ability to create a well shot and a well filmed music video. Um, I had a phenomenal time doing so. A lot of the places we went were historic places, such as Martin Luther King's neighborhood, as well as Ebenezer Baptist Church. And in this video, you're seeing my artistry. You're seeing me really get into my bag and reach into my truth at the time. Everything about the video was deliberate, about from the story, from the shots to the locations. I was very deliberate in this Woke music video. I'm really excited to show this to you all. It'll give you a good understanding of where I was at when I first started my music and what I'm hoping to continue to speak to in my term as a musician. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I, for one, had a great time working on it, and yeah, I hope that you guys had just as much of an enjoyable time watching it. I really did my best, and I hope that that was reflected in that video. Now a little bit about why I think that I'd be a good candidate for the Sanctuaries program and fellowship. What the Sanctuaries program is described as entailing is actually somewhat similar to other things that I've been involved in. I'm a Posse scholar. I attend the George Washington University under the Posse Foundation Scholarship. What that means is I actually had to be around a cohort of 10 other students and scholars. We competed in our city of Atlanta, and we were the last 10 selected. And we spent a couple of months learning what it meant to be a college student before we actually would go on to be leaders on our campuses. Moreover, I'm a sophomore, and this past semester I joined the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Throughout my time trying to become a member of this organization, I also was around my line brothers and we also were spending time learning what it would have meant to become an alpha brother. Similarly, I feel like this program enables me to be around like-minded creatives, and we are dedicating ourselves in ways that I did in my term learning to be a leader on campus as a policy scholar, and in my turn learning to be a positive alpha brother while I was going through my process trying to become a member of the fraternity. Weeks after joining my fraternity, my line brothers and I banded together as with some of our other brothers that we had met through the process joining the fraternity, and went down to work with underprivileged kids and at KIP DC to explain to them what the college application process would look like, as well as what would be needed as far as writing applications and which schools would work for them depending on their career trajectories. It was a very rewarding process for me as I did join the organization due to my passion for social service. However, joining Alpha was not the only time that I was out actively serving the DC communities. In fact, when I first came to campus, me and my posse cohort, we went to a DACA march because I actually had multiple members of my posse who were DACA recipients. So we went out to the DACA march and lifted our voices in solidarity with those against what was taking place in the country at the time. Moreover, once early 2018 started, I also went to the March for Our Lives with a lot of my friends, and we spoke for that cause as well. So social service in the DC community has been something that's particularly important to me since I first even came to DC when I started my career as a student, as a freshman, and I have sought to continue that through the work of Alpha. After reviewing the three types of artistic leaders, the one that spoke to me the most was actually visionary. The visionary one spoke to me specifically because since I was in high school doing my Black Lives Matter club and discussing among my student body and my community, and even stepping forward into making my woke record, one thing that was very important was perspective. And what the visionary artist leadership type explained itself as being was one who believed that understanding a problem was pivotal towards solving it, and therein creating a platform to showcase what that problem is and also different ways that we can seek to solve it. One of the organizations that I'm starting is a nonprofit called Witness Media and Productions. It's a social service-based production and media company that empowers young creatives to utilize their voice and artistry to speak to and for their community. Specifically, it's illuminating perspectives from people who are unique to that problem, and so there's an according relatability to what's being discussed. For me, one of my goals in our starting year is I wanted to basically unlift the veil of mental health challenges for the Black community on college campuses. That's something that speaks directly to me, and I think that I, as a Black person on a college campus, predominantly white institution, can uniquely speak to that. While many other applicants might be native to the local DC area, one thing that I believe is makes me a unique voice among the applicant pool is that I'm a college student, and I represent the DC college community, as well as I have service-based experience here in Atlanta. And I'm very interested to see how I can inform my future DC service through what I've learned from my past service in Atlanta. Moreover, as I mentioned with my passion for mental health on college campuses, I have a direct relationship to not only the college campus that I occupy at George Washington University, but as well as the American University, Georgetown University, and Catholic University. One component that stuck out to me when I was learning about your fellowship was the idea of after the conclusion of our presence in this program, we would go on to be teaching artists. That directly spoke to me because I feel as if like one of the best ways to showcase whether or not you've really received information is to teach it to others. Moreover, I just also feel like in life generally, like regardless of whether or not you've graduated high school or college, like forever, you should consider yourself as a continued student. And one of the best ways to learn is actually to teach. So the prospect of becoming a teaching artist after ending this process also is super important to me.